Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Co-op Podcast. I'm your host, Richard Billy Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
It's going good, thanks. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Taking it easy here on this sunny Sunday afternoon.
Good to hear.
Yes. And we are also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How's it going, Dana?
Hola, everyone.
Yes. So we will not be joined by Mr. Max Muller and Mr. Jake James Lugo this week. I know Mr. Max Muller is actually, I believe he's on vacation right now somewhere in California. So we hope he's having a great time. And Mr. Jake James Lugo is having to take care of something else. So also hope he is doing well, but they will definitely be back next week. So as for the topics this week, wasn't really too much news that happened. I mean, there's some major things which we will get into, but before we do any of that, we're going to let you all know what we have been playing. So, Gary, how about you go first and let us know what you've been playing?
Yep. So I've been playing some more Assassin's Creed Origins, and I'm really starting to enjoy that game now. I'm getting into the the RPG elements of it a bit more. Starting to understand how the equipment and everything works a little bit. It was a little hard adjusting to the new controls at first because like you're so used to the old style of Assassin's Creed because there were like 9 games, like before this one pretty much. But yeah, like I do like the new controls and the new layout of the buttons and everything, and it feels less clunky. Like sometimes in the old games you would do things by accident, like jump into a building or jump off a building or something like that, but in this game that doesn't seem to happen so much. So yeah, I like how they've tweaked the game and it plays a lot better now. The only thing is it seems like it's a super grindy game, so it might take me a long time to beat it. And Ni no Kuni is actually coming out soon, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to beat it before I get into that game. And I still want to get Monster Hunter at some point. So yeah, I don't know if I have enough time to play all these games. Like it's just so much content in all of them. But yeah, I am enjoying Assassin's Creed, and I really love the setting of the game, ancient Egypt and everything. I would love to go there one day, but we'll see about that. Besides that, of course, I've been playing Overwatch. That's a given. And they actually announced a new character that they've been teasing. They teased the character for at least a week. Like they put a lot of like stuff in game. Like they added some extra details to some of the maps and everything, like diagrams and charts and stuff like that. So basically, the new character is called Brigitte, and she's the daughter of the character called Torbjorn, and she also helped Reinhardt. She built his equipment for him and stuff. So Brigitte is she's like a hybrid. She's a support character, which I'm surprised about because I was expecting it to be a tank, but it is kind of a hybrid character. It's like support and tank because she has a shield, and she can shield bash and stuff like that. So she's going to be good for crowd control and, standing up to, she's going to be good for choke points and stuff where you've got to defend the area and stuff like that. Like she's definitely going to be helpful for that. And she can also heal. She can like instantly heal. So like when she throws out the healing, it's instantly applied to the health bar. And if the character already has a full health bar, it's going to add armor instead. So she has a really cool skill set, but they've also kind of nerfed her already. Now, she isn't actually in the game live at the moment. She's in the PTR, which is the public test region. So if you get the PTR version of the game, if you download it, which comes free with the purchase of the full game anyway, you can actually play her in the PTR right now. But they've nerfed her already because when she was first put into the game, she was pretty OP, overpowered. You were able to like swing her weapon, which is like a what do you call it? It's like a chain kind of thing with a knob on the end, like a mace kind of thing. So like you could swing it and you could actually do like a combo that can one hit kill some of the squishy characters. So they've kind of toned that down so that it's on a bit of a timer between the swings of her weapon and stuff. So she's already getting nerfed because she was that good. So I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen when she actually gets put into the live game, because I think the actual meta of the game, like on a professional level, is going to change a lot when she's in the game. And what's great about Overwatch League is like we get to see the tactics and the strategies that the professionals are using, and then we can use that as a template to try those same techniques in the game as well. So I really like that we have the Overwatch League to kind of mold our own strategies, base them upon what they're doing in the league. So yeah, Brigitte looks like a pretty cool character. Can't wait for her to be in the full game. Did you guys get to check it out? Or did you at least like see the character?
I did see some footage of the character. I think she looks cool. I don't really play Overwatch, so I haven't had an opportunity to try her out. I would like to hope that Activision will once again have another opportunity for people to try it out, like for like a free weekend, especially if they have this new character that is going to be available. I think that would be a smart decision on their part.
But yeah, they do that pretty frequently. But one thing I want to say as well is I've noticed the trend. Like 99% of the new characters have been female. Like there's only been like one new male put into the game, and that's Doomfist, the black guy. But all the rest of the characters that they put in are all females. So I'm wondering if that's for any particular reason. I know that I think Overwatch is kind of diverse. There are a lot of females who play Overwatch, but I'm wondering if there's like a specific reason why a lot of the characters are female, and if it's to cater towards the males or the females, because we know Overwatch porn is still a big thing. So I'm wondering, like, how much thought is put into that decision.
Well, first and foremost, Gary, I have to stop you. You can't use that word porn because this is YouTube. They censor everything now. So, you got to be careful with that word. They're going to think, oh, this is inappropriate comments, even though it's not really inappropriate.
I'm sorry, Google. I didn't mean to do that.
Say African delight instead.
I'll take note of that.
Yeah, so that's a very good point you bring up about the trend of the female characters. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I guess right now, because we are in. I believe that this is Dana. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Is this International Women's Month or something to that effect?
It is Women's Month.
Yeah. So yeah, we have Tomb Raider coming out in a couple of weeks. We had Red Sparrow, which came out this past weekend. So I think the timing is certainly right to feature them a lot more prominently in not just in this game, but in games in general. So I don't have a problem with it. But I don't know. Maybe they can offer a little bit more options in the future. But
yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. By the way, it's just something I noticed, and I saw people on Reddit, like some people who play the game as well. They've started to catch on to it. So I thought it was interesting.
So yeah. So what do you think about it, Dana?
I think that it's a good thing. I'm really not like a big Overwatch. I know Gary is completely obsessed with the game to the point where like he goes and speaks into his whole other language. Where I'm just standing there like confused. But whatever makes the Overwatch fans happy, that's a good thing. And I like the representation of women. Is it diverse looking?
Oh yeah, it's very diverse because you got characters from like all sorts of countries all over the world, including continent of Africa, You got people
I love
from
that.
Australia, France. You know, like it's very diverse.
I love that even more. So yeah, I'm for it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's pretty much it though for what I've been playing.
All right, cool. One other quick thing I will also say, I know you mentioned earlier about trying to have time to play all these other games. I have to say, to anybody that is watching this show and is a lot younger than us, definitely cherish the time you have while you have it, because as you get older, and you have adult responsibilities to take care of, you will not have a lot of time to play too many games. And I say that to say, this was a week where I didn't have a chance to play hardly anything because I had a lot of other things I had to take care of. That will obviously change because I do have a couple of games that I know I will be playing next week. So I'll speak about more about what I've been playing next week, because I'm pretty sure I will definitely be playing something throughout this week here. But yeah. How about you, Dana? What did you play this week?
I've been half dead during this week, but I was able to slip in some Metal Gear Survive, which just only killed me more. So it's not been a very enjoyable experience in the gaming world for me. But again, Metal Gear Survive, just trying to survive through that. It's just awful. It really is. And even without the whole pay system, it's still awful. That and a little bit of, I went back to my Lego Dimensions because it's one of those games where it's like 15,000 hours and it just doesn't matter. You can just play and pick up whenever you want to, and you could just explore. And it's like a good game to like just to escape into. Unlike Metal Gear Survive, which feels like you're being tortured to death, this one is the complete opposite. You feel like you can just relax, escape, take your time, discover new parts. And that's what I love so much about this series, is that there's so many different things that you miss. So you can always just go right back to it. Unlike Metal Gear Survive, which, you know, it's crap no matter how many times you go back to look at it.
Very good points. Well, I have to say I'm very impressed that every time you play Metal Gear Survive, you actually do survive. So you have to be happy about that at the very least.
My heart failure flared up, so maybe not. Could be the contributing factor. It kills you from the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I agree. Well, yeah, just so I reiterate, you know, when I say that I didn't have time to play, oh, trust me, there's a lot of games I still need to play. I still haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn. I know we just passed the anniversary of that game this week. I wish that I could have been playing that. I still have to play Persona 5. So trust me, I have a ton of games that I have to play. I just have to create the time to actually play them. But I'll definitely have more to say next week, because I'm pretty sure I will be playing a couple of different things. So stay tuned for that.
When I'm old and I'm in my retirement home, I'm going to set aside a lot of time to catch up on my backlog.
Well, hey, listen, if you can do that, that's awesome. But you know, I just thinking about what other games will be out when that happens. I mean, I imagine technology will be even more further advanced. The consoles will be even better if we are still, you know, playing on next gen consoles. So you never know; it might be even better options then. So then it's going to be very hard to catch up if that's the case. But we'll see what happens. Yeah. So, but yeah, that pretty much concludes what we have been playing for this week. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into the big topics, news stories from the week. First and foremost, and I think this is obviously one of the biggest news stories of the week, in my opinion. We finally have a release date for Detroit Become Human. So Quantic Dream's upcoming game is now scheduled to arrive on May 25th. So wanted to ask the question of, are you guys looking forward to the game? And do you think that it'll actually turn out to be a good game? Because, you know, now let me just start out by saying I didn't play Heavy Rain. I believe you played Heavy Rain, Gary. And I also did not play Beyond Two Souls either. So will be going into this title with this really being one of the first Quantic Dream games that I have played. So you can start us off, Gary. Let me know, what do you think about Detroit Become Human, and do you think it's going to turn out to be a good game?
Now I definitely don't want to compare it to Heavenly Rain because I'm sure Quantic Dream has learned a lot since they made that game. But the thing is with Heavenly Rain, when you played that game for the first time, it was like the most amazing gaming experience ever. Like, and the story just, it had you hooked. It seemed phenomenal at the time. Obviously with it being a mystery, the whole mystery element kept you hooked and wanting to know, who the actual culprit is and how events unfolded. So while you were playing it, it was amazing, like the whole way through, like visually, storyline, dialogue, it kept you in full suspense. But after you beat Heavenly Rain and you really look back at it and think about it, you start to think about all the ways that it didn't make sense at all. Like there was a lot of plot holes in that story. And I think a lot of that was because they were struggling to include that option where, no matter what happens, the story continues and stuff. And there's so many different decisions you can make as a player and stuff. I remember one of the big things being that any of the characters that you play can die and the story will continue. So with things like that occurring, I think it kind of painted them into a corner, and that's what caused a lot of the plot holes because something that ambitious is really hard to pull off. And that's why I still give a lot of credit to BioWare for what they did with the Mass Effect trilogy, because that was an amazing achievement in itself. But yeah. As for Detroit, Become Human, I think if they try to go super ambitious like that, they could paint themselves into that corner again. But at the same time, I'm sure they've learned from a lot of those mistakes that they did make in Heavenly Rain. So I'm hoping this is going to be, a far superior version of Heavy Rain, but also be completely original. It's going to be its own thing as well. So I do think it's going to be quite phenomenal to play through the first time. Whether or not the story remains cohesive after we beat it, that's a different story. But, we've got to get there first. And I'm sure getting there is the fun part. So I think it's going to be a good experience, especially the first time you play it.
Yeah, some very good thoughts. And I'm going to give a shout out to Showan in the chat. Yes, the game is. We have to make sure we correct this. It's Heavy Rain, not Heavenly Rain, because I
always get it mixed up with Heavenly Sword.
No, hey, that's totally fine. But yeah, based on that description you told me, the game didn't sound heavenly, so we got to make sure that we keep it correct and say, yeah, it's Heavy Rain. That had some issues in it. So I do have something to say, but before I say what I'm going to say, Dana, what are your thoughts on Detroit Become Human? Are you looking forward to it coming out? Go ahead.
I'm going to be honest. I am, but I'm also scared. See, I felt excitement when I saw Watch Dogs. So that looked like a really great game. That looked like it was, really advanced, and it looked like it had a great storyline, and everyone was all swooped in with just, that little trailer that we saw. And I feel the same way towards this, but we all know how much of a disaster Watch Dogs was. So I'm cautious. I'm very happy that they, moved the release date up. I hope they don't go back and change it. So, that would be a plus for me. I am excited. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not going to be like overly ecstatic about it just because I don't know. There could be a lot of issues with that game and a lot of bugs and who knows. But from what I've seen and what we've all seen, I'm very intrigued. When it comes out, I do want to buy it. Maybe not day one, maybe like day 21 and see what any of the complaints are. But good job to them for pushing up the date. Just, don't screw the rest of it up.
I think the caution is totally understood. And I know I had mentioned on the show before that, you know, when we were at PSX back in December, I did get a chance to play the game, and by all accounts, the game is fantastic. You know, I got to see a couple of people playing through some of the same story stuff that I played through, and I got to see a couple of alternate of different things that can happen. So I'm very curious to see how it all comes together. Obviously, I think the goal of the game is for you to play and see the multiple endings. So obviously, it's a game that you'll definitely play through more than once, if I had to make a guess. But I generally am excited for the game. As I already mentioned, I didn't play Heavy Rain. I did not play Beyond Two Souls. I do recall playing the demo that they had for Beyond Two Souls, and I thought the demo was okay. But it did not do enough to convince me that, oh, I definitely need to buy this game. So maybe it wasn't that great. But at least with this game, I am compelled to see how far along they actually push this narrative with the androids and the humans. Because I know this is something that they've been wanting to do for a while. Ever since they introduced that Kara model that they were working on, this is what this essentially was leading towards. So I'm curious to see how the final product turns out. But yeah, I think having some caution is totally understood. So we'll have to see, you know, how it all comes together. But one thing I did want to also mention about this game, I'm not sure if you guys saw the box art, but I know that got some criticism from some fans. There's also another publication, which I'm not going to mention the name because they already get enough traffic. I don't think we need to send any more traffic to their website. But one publication in particular mentioned that the box art is absolutely horrible. And I'm just curious what you guys think about the box art, because my personal opinion, all I care about is the game. The box art could be trash, but I don't really care about that because I'm not going to play the box art. I'm going to play the actual game. But I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that if you actually saw the box art, because, you know, it has Jesse Williams on the front, close up on his face type of deal. But Gary, did you get to see the box art? And if so, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I know exactly which publication you're talking about. And as for the box art, I share your sentiment. Like, I don't care about box arts that much, you know, like, because it's the game that I want to play at the end of the day. But you know, it does, the box art doesn't do anything to intrigue me or anything. Like, sometimes you can look at a box art and think that's a nice piece of art right there, like that's well done. But this doesn't do anything for me at all. Like, it's just, you know, it's just okay, cool, whatever, who cares. Yeah, but I mean, you know, I don't think it's a big deal like everyone's making out, but yeah, it doesn't do anything for me.
One quick thing I will say, there was an image that I saw on the PlayStation Store, an image that had all three of the Android characters, and I actually used that image when I had made the post about the game when we found out it was going to be coming out in spring 2018. I think that would have been a far better image to use, but that's just my opinion. You know, obviously, you know, maybe I will throw this picture in the post whenever we do a post on the site to show you guys what I mean, but I think that would have been a better image to show instead of what they did. But again, I don't really care too much about the box art. How about you, Dana? I know that you're a huge Jesse Williams fan, so were you offended when they said that they didn't like the box art, or do you agree?
What is wrong with people? It looked perfectly fine. It's a close-up of his face, and you can see the very small details that he is actually a robot. He's an android. And the brilliant behind it is that you have to look up close to actually see that. As opposed to, you know, looking far away, you wouldn't be able to tell. So it does show the argument of, you know, robots versus humans, or, you know, that technology thing. So I like it. I think you guys are nitpicking. I don't understand why it's hated. It looks perfectly fine to me.
Yeah. Hey, I agree. Very good point. And again, you know, we're not playing the box art, we're playing the game. So the box art shouldn't really be that important. But I agree with you, what you say about the details of the face, because that was what I noticed instantly. I said, okay, well, yeah, this is this is very interesting. But as Gary said, I guess not interesting enough for everybody. But it's fine. It doesn't make a difference.
Complain. That's all. They just complain to complain so they can have a voice.
You're right.
That's perfectly.
You're right, and essentially that is the world we live in today, with a lot of people complaining, defining reasons to complain. So, yeah, that makes sense. But one thing I will say is, again, the big takeaway I come away from all of this is that now we know at least 2 Sony games that have release dates. God of War comes out on April 20th. That's a whole month before this game. So very curious to see when Spider-Man and Days Gone get their release dates. They both said 2018. Perhaps that's going to be the fall games. Well, before the big major stuff comes out in November with Call of Duty and, whatever else, Battlefield. Maybe September this will be out. But very much looking forward to that. And, yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So any final thoughts on Detroit Become Human before we move to the next topic?
Just really quickly, comparing Sony's 2018 to 2017, I definitely don't think it compares so far, because last year we already had like some amazing stuff. But yeah, like we still do have a lot of good stuff to look forward to as well. So, but yeah, I just wanted to make that comment real quick.
Well, now that you made that comment, I have to ask the question. So, I'm trying to remember all the games they released in 2017. I know we had Horizon Zero Dawn. We had Nier Automata.
Yeah, we had Gravity Rush 2 had come out.
Yeah, that was out in January. Yep, last year.
Yakuza 0.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. And and Neo, that was out in February.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. You make some good points. Yeah, I agree. And this year so far, we are going to have God of War. We do have Ni no Kuni out. That's also coming to PC, but that is coming out this month. And of course, Yakuza 6 is coming out in April. So I mean, yeah, I think you make a good point, because there's a lot of great games last year that was coming out, at the very start of the year. Maybe a little bit slow to really get the party started so far this year, but we'll see what happens as the year goes on. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, good points that you made there. So let's move on to the next topic. Battlefield, which we all know the next iteration in the Battlefield series is going to be revealed at EA Play in June. Well, now we know that Battlefield 5 is going to take place in World War II. Now, if I recall correctly, the last Battlefield game, which I think was Battlefield 1, that also was in World War II. So that's interesting. But Gary, you wanted to ask the question, do we think that this particular setting is too played out now? I would like to answer that question first, and I would say that, considering that Battlefield 1 did well, and considering that Call of Duty last year also did well, and they were both set in World War II, I think the fact that Battlefield 5 is also going to be in World War II, I think that's somewhat expected. I think, EA had success with the last Battlefield game. I guess they want to continue that momentum. And then, of course, the competition with Call of Duty, they saw that they also did that. So I think this is always going to be a back and forth thing. I don't have a problem with the setting, just so long as they make it interesting. I think we spoke about last week that we are hoping that Battlefield Bad Company is the game that they're working on. And by all accounts, this news about Battlefield 5, this does not make me happy, because I wanted to see Bad Company. I don't want to see another regular Battlefield game. But I guess it all depends how it's done, whether or not it works. But the World War II setting, I don't really know what other direction they can go in with this series. We already saw Activision do the futuristic setting. So I'm not really sure. And we also saw a modern setting also. So I'm not really sure which direction they can take this series in. So I think the World War II thing is okay. I would like to see them change it up in the future, but I don't really know where they can take it. So I'm not in the position to say what type of setting that they should put it in. But I don't have an issue with it. If it looks interesting, I will try it out. Because that's really all I'm going to check out when I go to EA Play. If the game is interesting, it looks fun, then yeah, they will assault me on it. But if it's more of the same that we saw in Battlefield 1, and I may be like, well, you know, Battlefield 1 was good on its own. I don't want to play Battlefield 1 again, so I'll probably pass on this game. But that's just my thoughts. Gary, what do you think about the World War II setting being used for Battlefield 5?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think the whole military war thing is played out, but obviously it has its own built-in audience. You know, it has its own target market, and those people are probably going to continue to always buy those types of games, you know, whether Call of Duty or Battlefield. So it's good that, you know, those games remain there for that audience. But I'm also happy that we do have other, you know, FPS games now. Like, you know, you have your Destinies, your Overwatches, and, you know, you have a lot of other options now. Whereas last gen, I feel like it was just Call of Duty, and, you know, towards the mid-generation, you had Battlefield as well. But yeah, now it seems like there's a lot more variety. So there's shooters, there's FPS games for everyone, you know, to an extent. So that's good. But yeah, as for World War II and everything, I think it's very unappealing for me personally. Like, I feel like I've kind of grown out of the whole, you know, war and military FPS game craze, if you will. So I'm personally not really looking forward to that, even though I am a fan of Battlefield. Like, I really did enjoy Battlefield 3 and 4 and Hardline to an extent, you know. But yeah, I think I'm just past that phase now, and I want to see them try and do something new with the series. But I know that that's probably not where they want to go, because they want to serve that particular audience. I do think it would have been much better to do, you know, Bad Company 2, and maybe they still will. You know, maybe Bad Company 2 will be set in World War II. You know, like maybe that's what they're gonna do. But yeah, I just want to see them do something new and switch it up personally. But I understand why they continue to go down that path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Dana, what are your thoughts on Battlefield 5 taking place in World War II? Do you have any issues with it, or do you think it's totally fine?
If it's not Bad Company, I literally give a flying fart. I'm sick and tired of World War II. I don't just do anything else but World War II. I don't know, create a World War III, but just not World War II anymore, unless it's Bad Company. Bad Company can literally do anything they want, and I'm good. But, you know, just don't do World War II if it's not Bad Company.
I agree. So if EA does listen to this, we want Bad Company 3. To hell with the Battlefield 5 if it's not something different than what they've already done. But we'll see. So any other thoughts before we move on to our next topic?
No more space. Nothing in space.
Well, hey, Activision they had success with their space setting, so I guess they may consider you know, copying Activision with that too. I mean, we never know.
Oh.
Well, if there's one thing that I could tell EA, in addition to Battlefield 5, I do not want to see another Medal of Honor either, because that last one, nah, son, trash. Trash.
First one was so good.
What's that? What?
I said that I like the first one.
Yeah, the first one. Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Oh yeah, I see somebody's watching. What's up?
Quick shout outs to Kieran, aka Ruthless Kid. Hopefully we'll have him back on the show at some point.
Yeah, Ruthless Kid, we definitely need to have you on soon. We got to hear what you got to say about Xbox. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Actually, this is going to be Dana's portion of the show, where you're going to let us know what's going on in the entertainment world. Dana, so the mic is yours.
Yay! As everyone knows, or maybe they don't know, or maybe they don't care, today is Oscar Sunday, which means, all the Academy Awards is all gathered down in Los Angeles, and they're going to, award themselves with prizes and gift bags and awards. But I thought, really cute, fun news, that the lowest grossing film in movie history belongs to a 2006 film called ZYZZX Road. It only grossed $30, and it starred Katherine Heigl and Tom Sizemore. So I thought that was a fun fact. In other news, I'm pretty sure everyone's heard by now, Marvel Studios have moved up the release date of Infinity War, which was originally May 4th and is now going to be April 27th, which is a full week ahead. Many people were surprised. It was like a cute little exchange between the guy who plays Captain America and Robert Downey Jr. But so many people like, oh, this is really nice. This is a sweet little thing. But in fact, it was done so that Infinity War can avoid any type of competition. By moving it to that date, we now give enough time for Deadpool, which releases on May 18th. And the next film will be May 25th, is Star Wars. But by moving it to April 27th, remember, a lot of other studios were scheduling their movies, after or way before the release date of Infinity War because they know they was going to get crushed. But now that they moved this date up, this means that Amy Schumer's comedy, I Feel Pretty, and the Paula Patton thriller, Traffic, are going to be completely crushed because they release on the same day. But I'm pretty sure no one was going to go see those movies in the first place. Black Panther also continued to dominate a third week, grossing $65.7 million domestically and $56.2 million internationally, which means that it has pulled in just North America alone $501 million, and then $396.6 million overseas. So right now it is close to making $1 billion. So yay! And just the third week. How incredible is that? Also, Oscar Sunday, many people look forward to the red carpet, but however, Ryan Seacrest was recently accused of sexual abuse by his hairstylist. And she said it has been going on for many weeks, and it's a lot of details and really disgusting things that he's done to her. So instead of canceling Ryan Seacrest or, just having somebody else fill his place, they have decided that they're going to go on a 30-second delay. So if anything happens, or, one of the actresses decides to, call him out, we won't be able to see it because everything will be delayed. Harvey Weinstein, his lawyer has come out and basically said that all the allegations against Harvey Weinstein is fake. And they're saying that, Harvey Weinstein is a big statue that was planned to be at the Oscars by an independent artist, where it's Harvey Weinstein sitting on a couch, and it's supposed to reference the casting couch. The casting couch, for people who don't know, is basically you go to a producer or director and, hey, you want to be in this movie, then you have to sleep with the person. So they decided to remove it, and the lawyer spoke up and was very angry and was saying that, all allegations are not true, and that Harvey Weinstein never created the casting couch. So Harvey is very upset that they labeled him the casting couch guy, basically. The Razzies have been announced. It's an award show for basically the worst movie that came out in 2017. So it started off with an in memoriam segment with photos of Harvey Weinstein, Jeremy Piven, Bill Cosby, and Donald Trump, among others, with the kicker, very sorry, but we won't be missing you or your kind. But the winners for the Razzies are Worst Picture, The Emoji Movie, Worst Actress, Tyler Perry for Boo 2, A Madea Halloween. Worst Actor is Tom Cruise for The Mummy. Worst Supporting Actor is Mel Gibson for Daddy's Home 2. Worst Supporting Actress is Kim Basinger in 50 Shades Darker. Worst Screen Combo is The Emoji Movie. Worst remake, ripoff, or sequel is 50 Shades Darker. Worst director is Tony Leonidas for The Emoji Movie. The Emoji Movie basically just swept. Worst screenplay, The Emoji Movie. And the Razzie contender for So Rotten You Loved It was Baywatch. I kind of did like Baywatch, though. It was kind of fun. If anyone hasn't heard, they are remaking Bad Boys. It's going to be a spinoff this time. It's going to be on NBC, and it's going to be female-driven. They just cast Jessica Alba, who's going to play the co-lead opposite Gabrielle Union. Alba will also serve as the executive producer on the project, and it'll center around Special Agent Sydney Burnett's character, played by Gabrielle Union in 2003. And Alba's character is Nancy Kinnan, who has joined the army out of high school and spent most of the 2000s in the Iraq and Afghan war. But since women weren't allowed in combat, she joined the military police to get closer to the action. McKinnon is now a detective raising 2 preteen stepkids with her husband. So if you like those two, Alba and Gabrielle Union, and you really loved Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, maybe you might want to check it out. They said that it's going to be really female-driven, it's going to be fun, and it's going to have the same humor of the original movies. So we'll see. Anyone who is a Scandal or How to Get Away with Murder fan, their night was basically made on last Thursday. And so far, it had over 5 million people watched to tune in. It was a crossover episode, which was like a dream for anyone who was a fan of those two. For them to even share the same universe was like, oh my God. So many people are very happy about that. Remember the 1996 movie Fear, which was a thriller that starred Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg? Well, the studio, Universal Pictures, have decided that they're going to do a remake or a reimagining of the movie. And instead, it's going to be from the female perspective, which I kind of thought it was originally, but it's going to be more female-driven, and you get to really feel what it's like to be stalked by this crazed boyfriend. Remember, guys, it was like this really great romance story, and then he just flipped, and it became a very abusive, violent relationship. So everything is going to be seen from her point of view. But I guess it'll still end the same and have the same, everything else that happened from the other movie. Also following the success, Reese Witherspoon, who did Big Little Lies, she announced her new project is going to be Little Fires Everywhere, and it's going to also co-star Kerry Washington. It's based on the book Little Fires Everywhere. So if you're looking forward to that, it's going to be on a streaming platform. Right now, everything is like up in the air. There's a lot of companies that's bidding for it, but it looks like it might head over to Netflix. So if you like that, then that's a good thing. Baywatch star Pamela Anderson has called out Harvey Weinstein, who said that he bullied her to the point where she was scared into acting in Dimension Films' 2008 superhero movie, and that she really felt that her life was threatened by not doing this movie. So she was pressured into this. She explained how horrible and miserable it was to work for him, but she still wants men to be able to be passionate and aggressive when they want to make their movie. So I don't know exactly what she means by that, but that's what she wants everyone to know. Wayward Pines is officially canceled after like 2 years off air. So if you was somehow still waiting for Wayward Pines to come back, it was canceled. It's not coming back. But if you're an M. Night Shyamalan fan, don't worry. We're getting the sequel to Split, which is going to be Glass, which, remember, it was a trilogy. It started off with, oh gosh, I just went blank. It started off with Unbreakable, and then it's Split, and then the next one is going to be Glass. Everything is supposed to be a superhero origin story. So I'm looking forward to that. And I don't even like M. Night, but I am looking forward to that. So that is everything that happens in Hollywood and entertainment.
Yo, real quick, I think they probably pushed forward Infinity War a week because over here it was going to come out. Is it April 27th? I think it was going to come out that day over here in the UK. Originally, So I think they pushed it forward because they don't want spoilers getting out and stuff, because, you know, this is going to be a big movie, and I'm sure there's going to be some huge spoilers, especially with, you know, deaths and stuff like that occurring in the Marvel universe. So they probably don't want there to be, you know, too many spoilers and people having the film ruined for them and stuff like that. So I think that was one of the major reasons why they wanted to, but also, of course, they wanted to avoid stuff like Deadpool. And, you know, obviously in May, it was going to be kind of close to Han Solo, which is their other big movie as well. So yeah, I think all of those were a contributing factor to that. And nobody wants to see Amy Schumer. So yeah, I think it works out fine.
Poor Amy.
She got her money. She all good.
She got her money and her I feel pretty money.
Yeah, she got her money, but Monique didn't get hers. So
she's still angry, still to this day. She's talking about everyone in Oprah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for the recap. I just want to say a few quick things, real quick tidbits. One show that should be also, you know, you mentioned the Razzies. I can tell you right now, there's at least one TV show that needs to be in the Razzies, and that is The Walking Dead. Because I saw that premiere last week, and man, this show just needs to be over with. I'm tired of it.
No, but there are more spinoffs to come. We're getting like 5 more shows.
Well, yeah, I understand that. And, you know, I will give AMC credit for making a decision to kill off an important character. You know, I'm not going to say it for those that haven't seen it yet, although you probably know about it by now anyway. Yeah, I give them props for killing off that character, because that character is not dead in the comics. So, but that show is just like fatigue with just the same thing, you know, this all-out war storyline. All of this just needs to be over with. So I look forward to the show ending at some point in time, because it's, you know, it's very exhausting, not really fun anymore. So yeah, it just needs to end. And one other quick thing I did want to say, 2 shows you absolutely should be watching if you aren't watching them already. The Chi. We're definitely going to do a podcast on that at some point, because the show is fantastic. You know, very much reminds me of The Wire, and I could tell that the writers were also inspired by The Wire, by the way they present the characters, and each character is connected. So I will highly recommend you check out that show when possible. It is on Showtime, but you know, definitely make a point to check it out. And of course, Atlanta, because I saw the premiere the other day, and I have to give them props. Donald Glover and the team coming back strong. They found a way to get Cat Williams to appear on the episode also. Man, that show was funny as hell. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the season, but I just cannot recommend it enough. If you saw the first season of Atlanta, you're definitely in for a treat. Second season starting out great. And again, if you're a fan of The Wire, definitely go out of your way to see The Chi. Both fantastic shows. But yeah, I wanted to say that real quick.
Indeed.
All right, so let's move on to the next topic. This is a topic that is very controversial because it got some pretty negative backlash from people when it was announced. But PlayStation Plus games for the month, you know, so Sony did announce that in March we're going to be getting Bloodborne, and we're also going to be getting Ratchet and Clank, which is good news, obviously. However, in that same announcement, you know, and this kind of came a little under the radar in the very beginning until it got, you know, more people directed more attention towards it. Sony pretty much announced that starting in 2019, they're going to be cutting both PS3 games and Vita games from PlayStation Plus. Now, this is not going to start, I think, until March 2019, which is fine, but there was no mention of what they are going to be adding. You know, they said you're going to be getting PlayStation 4 games, and that has led to some speculation that people feel like, well, PlayStation 5 games are probably going to be coming to the service. But here's the thing. We don't know when PS5 is coming out. We have thoughts that it could come out next year, but we don't really know anything concrete about that. And Sony continues to sell PS4 consoles, so I don't think they're going to be switching to another console anytime soon, but I could be wrong. But I just wanted to get you guys' initial thoughts on them cutting PlayStation 3 and Vita games starting in 2019. So, Dana, how about you start us off and let us know what you think about this topic? You're muted. Oh, well, I'll let her get situated. Why don't you go, Gary?
Yeah. Yeah, there's two ways you can look at it. Like, because I'm thinking Sony must know something that, you know, because obviously they have access to all the behind the scenes data and everything. So maybe they're seeing that activity isn't, you know, as high as it used to be on the PlayStation 3 and the PS Vita for PlayStation Plus. So maybe that's why they're deciding to cut back on it. But like you said, I do hope that they're planning to, you know, replace the, you know, the PS3 and VR offerings with more PS4 content then, you know, because we still need to get the same level of value from PlayStation Plus as we currently do. And taking away, you know, PS3 and VR games is going to be a big blow to some people, because there are people out there who still actively play their PlayStation VR, PS3 and PS4, you know, continuously. So, you know, having all that content taken away from PS3 and VR is a big deal to those people. So they definitely need to add value back onto the service if they're going to remove the PS3 and VR games.
I agree. I do have some things to say, but I'm gonna let Dana. You know, why don't you tell me what your thoughts are on this topic, Dana?
Is disrespectfulness. As someone who likes the old generation or old consoles or whatever you want to say, I still play those old games. And guess what? I still play my Xbox 360. So it's disrespectful. If you like a game and you're with it, it shouldn't matter at all. But yes, what Gary said is true. Yes, you know, maybe they're looking from, you know, the statistics, and they're looking at, you know, the money aspect of it, and they're say able to see, you know, only say 10% plays the game, or only 5%, and it's not, you know, what our target audience we want it to be. But it's still disrespectful. Darn it. Show some love. So I'm completely against it. I don't like it. And I think that they should come out with some type of explanation, because it's just wrong.
Yeah, I definitely have respect for everybody that still plays Vita and PS3 games. I know we have, I mean, I know we have a very good friend of the site named Seth, who always kept coming after us with these back and forth debates like, oh, so how could you say that you like Nier Automata if you didn't play the other Nier, the first Nier on PS3? And I had to tell Seth, you know, I don't have a PS3 anymore. When it came time to get a PS4, you know, I just wanted to upgrade. I didn't see any value in keeping the PS3, only because, you know, didn't have much space to work with. And obviously all of my friends were upgrading to the latest console. So therefore I was like, well, I don't see a point while I need to stay playing PS3 games when everybody's going to be on PS4. But with that said, for those that still want to play the games, they should be able to still play the games. But I do think that Sony is definitely going to have to address this and talk about what are fans going to be getting in return. Maybe you add another PlayStation 4 game, so they get 3 PS4 games for the month, and then they also get a PlayStation VR game or something to that effect. But for people who don't have PSVR, that still is not going to be of any value to them. So maybe they will drop a price, although I highly doubt that will happen. But they absolutely positively will have to give a reasoning for this. As for PlayStation 5, if eventually they bring PlayStation 5 games to PS Plus, that's totally fine. But again, it all depends when it's coming out. They're not going to release that console this year. If it comes out, that's probably going to be late 2019 or sometime in 2020. This is going to happen before any of that happens. So they definitely have to explain what they're going to give fans in return for this type of stuff. Maybe you give them a PS Now subscription, or you add that, because we spoke about that in the past, that they could easily add a PlayStation Now subscription as part of the PlayStation Plus package. But they definitely going to have to do something to get rid of these games. Me personally, I don't care because, you know, I only play PlayStation 4 games, but for everyone else, yeah, it's definitely an issue. But here's another question I definitely want to ask, because Dana, you brought up Xbox, the fact that you still play Xbox 360. Now, based on when this happened, would you say that Xbox Live is going to be, it has a better value now than PS Plus once they actually do this change?
Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely. Because I still love the games. And guess what? A lot for me, yes, the visuals are better and, you know, you have updated software and that's all really great, you know, compared to yesteryear. But for me, some of my favorite games came out on the older console. So Xbox Live right now is winning. Now, Xbox, you know, it has its own troubles, and I'm not saying that it's better than all of the other ones, but in terms of this and having you know more options, I'm gonna have to go with Xbox Live.
Uh-oh. So how about you, Gary? What do you think about this topic?
I mean, yeah, to be honest, and I'm sorry, Reggie, who's in the chat right now, but to be honest, I don't think PlayStation Plus has been that great, you know, for the past year or maybe even longer than that. I mean, before last year, you could have used the excuse, you know, PS4 was still kind of new, so there wasn't many games for them to put on the service and stuff like that. But you know, now we're what, like 4 or 5 years into the console or whatever. And yeah, I don't feel like it provides that much value besides being able to play online. And I find myself doing that less on the PlayStation 4 now anyway. So yeah, like I don't think these services are as good as they were last generation, to be honest. I think they were much more valuable then because you had a deeper library at the time they were introduced. Well, Xbox Live was around from, you know, the get-go, but yeah, I just think there was a lot more content last generation than what we're being given this generation on both consoles, though. You know, I don't think it's just Sony. I mean, Microsoft, you know, that now they're kind of turning things around and they have Game Pass as well, which is another option. And they have, you know, they have backwards compatibility on theirs as well, which is cool. That's a nice, you know, bonus feature on the Xbox Live system. But besides that, yeah, to be honest, I don't think there's much value. I mean, it could just be me personally, you know, I can't speak for everyone else, but I don't think that there has been significant value in these services this generation.
All right, so a quick question to ask. We'll go ahead, Dana.
No, I just wanted to say, like, to piggyback off of that. That is kind of why I like it. See, I like both consoles, and the fact that PS4 offers me more, but the online part and you know the other exclusive and like the other fact that you know the backwards compatibility and offering the older games, it sucks at. Xbox, for me, their games is not that many, and they're not anything that really makes me that excited, but it allows me to still live in my nostalgia, which, you know, so it balances it out for me, though. But I really like my games that are, you know, from the older times, and by doing that, by offering that, I kind of maybe like 0.1% like it a little bit more compared to Xbox. There's also, you know, Nintendo and the other ones, but for me, I like the fact that I can still play my old games.
Yeah, no, totally a good point. What I was going to ask is, you know, now I know that I believe it was one of the reps on the PlayStation Europe team. He had said last week, hey, the PlayStation Plus March games are going to blow you away. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, those games are Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank. So Gary, would you say that that announcement was that those are games to be impressed by? And do you think that makes PlayStation Plus at least valuable for this month? Or do you still say, nah, that's still not good enough?
Yeah, not good enough for me. I mean, I played Bloodborne already. Ratchet and Clank, those games are cool, but like they're not my speciality or anything, but they are fun games. So I mean, for I think I'm just kind of like, a bit of a unique kind of gamer at the moment. Like, I can't speak for the majority. I'm sure there's loads of people out there who are fascinated by the fact that they can now play Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank, especially because Ratchet and Clank is more of a family game. So they're going to make a lot of children happy now, I think. So that's cool. And, Bloodborne, if you haven't played that game yet, it's perfect time to give it a try. So yeah, I mean, it's good for some people, but I don't think it's, what he hyped it up to be. It's not like the most spectacular month of PlayStation Plus ever, you know. So yeah, he kind of oversold that a little bit.
I will say that I am a little disappointed because I actually just picked up Bloodborne when they had a sale on it recently. So when I found out it was free, I was absolutely livid when I saw this news. But I said, all right, well, lesson learned. I won't buy any more old games now. I'll wait for Sony to give it to me for free. But Danny, you was going to say something?
Wow, those are such great games. Wow. I'm really blown away right now. I'm like, wow, I'm so speechless. They no. They overshot when they said that. They really did. I mean, unless I have like 20 kids, then maybe I'll be like, yay, but I don't. So for me, that does nothing for me. It makes me just dead inside.
They oversold worse than Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan.
Wow. 90s wrestling. You go.
That was like 2005.
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah, like one more thing I wanted to mention though, or suggest is once this goes into effect next year or whenever they plan to take those games away, I think that should be the point where they say, okay, we're going to somehow tie in PlayStation Now with PlayStation Plus now, because that's going to fill that void that Xbox is already fulfilling for their customers. Like they're giving backwards compatibility games on their service, and that's an extra bonus. Like if I'm looking at both services on paper, if I own both systems, that's an extra that's an extra strike for Microsoft. That's an extra tick that they're fulfilling for the customers and stuff. So I think they should definitely try and do something with that, because PlayStation Now does give you access to some of those old games on PlayStation 3 and beyond PS2 even. So they should definitely look at trying to tie that in to the service to make it more valuable and to kind of replace just offering a free game for PS3 and Vita. Like I think that should be the next step for them.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was just about to ask that question, because I saw Reggie had the comment. He says, it's a business, and businesses is not about your feelings. May not like the truth, but that's real. I agree with that. And I was going to say that part of me feels that Sony making this announcement about getting rid of the PS3 games and the Vita games was just so that now it will make it so that there is no, that now, obviously we already know that with PlayStation Now, we was expecting them to respond to what Microsoft is doing with backwards compatibility, and Sony never did that. So I thought by them getting rid of this type of stuff, then they could just say, okay, well, now this is how we eliminate ourselves from that conversation of even competing with, or even trying to compete with Xbox on backwards compatibility, because we won't even offer it at all. You're only going to be playing PlayStation 4 games on your console now, nothing else. But yeah, what you just said, that pretty much answers the question, because I really do feel they definitely need to get PS Now implemented into this. Then, that will provide more value to their customers. And I know that there are some people that we also know that said, well, yeah, they pay for PlayStation Now. That's great for them. If they must be balling if they pay for PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus, but if they got the money, by all means, go ahead and do it. But as of right now, getting rid of the PS3 and Vita games, and not replacing it with anything else, that's a bad move. So I hope Sony has something planned, because people will get angry once they get into, actually get into all of this. But we'll see.
Yeah, just one more thing to say to end it off. Reggie, your family to the Koalition, but you might want to cover your ears here, because I don't want to upset you. I do want you to be on the show in the future, though, so you can kind of rebuttal and say what you think. But I do want to say that, considering how much they bought Gaikai for, PlayStation Now has been a letdown so far, in my opinion. Like, yeah, it hasn't been worth that purchase that they bought that company for. So this is the way they can really put that to good use, I think, if they do what me and Rich just said, and, add PlayStation Now into the PlayStation Plus program. And this can also help them kind of one-up Microsoft, because if you look at what Microsoft is doing, they have their Xbox Live, Gold service, and then they also have Game Pass as an option, but it's two completely separate subscriptions, right? So if Sony merge PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now somehow, then that is one-upping Microsoft completely. And if they start to add PlayStation 4 stuff to PlayStation Now, so you can stream it instead of having to download it, that's going to be a big deal in itself, because I get tired of having to download a game every time I buy it on PlayStation and stuff. So, because I have to, I refuse to upgrade the system, just out of what's the word I'm looking for? Just out of stubbornness, basically. Because I bought the system, I don't feel like I should have to, upgrade it. It's not a PC, it's a console. But yeah, I get really tired of having to delete and download new games on PS4. So if they added that ability to stream a PS4 game, that would be phenomenal, especially if it's tied to PlayStation Plus. So if they can do that next year, or even announce it this year at E3, then that's going to be a major announcement for them. So that's what I want to see them do next.
I just want to make one last comment. I agree with a lot of the points that were said. I want to give a shout out to Eddie Velasquez, who was in the chat as well. He said that Xbox Live is a better value, and yeah, I believe he is correct. And what you said about Game Pass is also correct, Gary. But the fact that somebody can actually rent Sea of Thieves for only $10 and play for, not spend $60 on it, and then you can just easily get rid of the game and you can download it, I think that already makes it better, because, Microsoft is thinking about the newer titles. Whenever Halo 6 comes out or Gears of War 5, you can use Game Pass without spending $60, play the game. And I think that's something that we haven't really seen Sony do that with any of their newer titles. If they said God of War or Days Gone or any of this stuff is going to be available in that fashion, then I'd be like, okay, great. But because they don't have that option available, I have to say Microsoft, yeah, they have an advantage with this stuff. So we'll see what happens ultimately. But it's like, listen, we have to see what Sony actually does when they announce this, and then what they have planned. We'll see what they actually have planned by taking away this stuff. But until then, yeah, we can definitely criticize, but we have to definitely wait to see what exactly they got planned before we criticize too harshly. But just my opinion. So any other thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
I just want someone to offer WWE No Mercy, and I'm good. No, yeah. Look, I still have my Nintendo 64 just so I can play that game.
Oh, well, I don't know if we're going to see that, unless they say, well, we're going to have pukes and pick up the deal to make it happen again. Then they will make the game horrible. No. Even if it's a remaster, they'll find a way to mess that up. So that's,
See, why must you even jinx it? You just never said anything. Now it's just jinxed, and I'm sad.
Well, don't worry. It's not going to happen. Vince is too busy focused on XFL. He ain't going to put no money into this project.
It could happen. Because Triple H.
Yeah,
Dream?
maybe. Yeah, maybe. But Triple H first has to take himself out of these storylines where he has to wrestle. He has to stop that completely. Then he can focus on the business side of WWE.
Well, hopefully Ronda kills him, and then we're all saved. And we have Jeff Jarrett, so we're good.
We'll see. So Gary, you good? You ready to move on?
Yeah, I was gonna ask something about wrestling, but this is the wrong show. So yeah, continue.
All right. Well, I guess you can ask that question when we get towards the end. We got 2 more topics to talk about. Okay, so this is an update on the ESA and this whole loot box controversy. The ESA has decided to add in-game purchases now to video games. I guess this will be on the label whenever you pick up a game. One quick thing I will say about this is that it's a good move. I mean, I know whenever I download a game on my iPhone, it usually says if it's in-app purchases. So I think this is something they should have done a long time ago. But yeah, it's fine if they want to have it. And I'm glad that they added it just so people know in advance what they're getting into. So I haven't really no complaints about that. Gary, what are your thoughts on them adding this?
Yeah, I guess this is a big step in terms of, getting around the legal issues that was being raised surrounding microtransactions and loot boxes and stuff like that. Like you said, this is something that should have already been done, but it just goes to show how much the game publishers were kind of exploiting, the whole microtransaction thing, in video games and stuff. But yeah, I guess it's good, it's good to raise awareness to, parents who buy their games, without really doing much research and stuff. At least they can see, what's being offered in the game and everything. This definitely should have been done before, but it took that whole controversy last year with EA for this to happen. And I guess this just kind of covers their back from now on, moving forward. But it seems like basically every game is going to have that listed on it, because even stuff that has access to like DLC is going to be included. Like, so not just loot boxes, but DLC. Like if there's a menu where you can buy extra content, it's going to have that listed on the box. So it seems like a lot of games are going to have this. The only games that probably won't is CD Projekt games. But
yeah, that totally makes sense, because I know CD Projekt has already said that they are against this practice. So that's good. I mean, again, I think it's very clear that it's all laid out for the consumer to see. I know a lot of times there are a lot of people that will pick up a game, not really know anything about it, and then be surprised later. Even instances where a parent buys a game for a kid, doesn't even look at the rating, and then the kid plays the game, and then later on they discover, oh, it has all this stuff in it. Well, so, if all the information is laid out there in the front, I would like to hope that people will read the label before they actually play it. But then again, I don't know. I don't know, because a lot of people don't read or do their research on a lot of this stuff. So we'll see. But again, I'm glad they at least put it out there so that they can make it clear from the very beginning this does have in-game purchases. So it's a good move on their part. Dana, what do you think about this particular topic?
This is all for legality issues. This is all to save face. This is all to stop the lawsuits and the angry people in the stock market and whoever it was on CNBC screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs. This is not, I think that it's going to happen the same thing as they did the parental advisory sticker, where it's like, okay, and nobody pays attention to it, and nobody really cares. And there's going to be some parents out there that's like, I don't care. And then they're going to act surprised when, their bank account is less than what it used to be because their kid Tommy is running around, keep buying, game stuff, a new weapon, a new character, or who knows, a save slot for Metal Gear Survive. But this is just something legal. They don't care about the customers. They don't care about anything else. This is just to stop the lawsuits. It is something that's long overdue. But here's the thing. People don't pay attention to any labels to begin with. So it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't really do anything to me. But just, you know, you can't be outraged now because there it is. So it doesn't do anything.
Well, I'm just gonna say something real quick, and this goes a little bit off topic, but you are 100% right when you say people don't pay attention. Recently I spoke to a couple of friends. They were telling me that there was a lot of people in their neighborhoods, at their churches, that went to go see Black Panther. But the thing is, they went to go see Black Panther thinking this was going to be a movie about the actual Black Panther Party and not a superhero. So when they went into the movie, they're like, what the hell is this? And you know, go along with the fact that there are a lot of people that went to go see the movie also was in the you know, dashiki, so on and so forth. But some of those people didn't even know who the hell the character was. They thought this was supposed to be like a revolutionary Black Panther party movie.
Wait, so like, did those people see the movie poster?
No, they just said, oh, well, I heard this movie is good, so I'm going to go see it. So I mean, you're right. People don't do their research, because I thought to myself, man, you know, if I'm going to be spending money on anything, you know, damn well I'm going to do my research, you know. But for people who don't care about money, I guess they just say, well, it doesn't matter. I heard it's good. You know, I'm just going to go see it. So in the case of this particular situation, you are right, Dana. There will be a lot of people who will not even pay attention to any of that stuff. But I'm pretty sure when they find out later that now there is other things that they have to buy, maybe they will complain at that point. But then again, at that point, it's on them, because the information was laid out there for them to see in the very beginning, and they chose not to see it. So we'll see what happens.
And I have maybe it's a stupid suggestion or a stupid question or stupid whatever, but would there be a way to lock yourself from purchasing anything, or for a parent to lock, you know, that feature so they can buy anything? So then that way you just don't have to worry at all?
Yeah, I got a solution for that.
What's the solution?
Don't put your credit card on the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really easy to go and, like, you know, little Tommy can dig in his mom's purse and find the card.
Well, in that case, there's another solution that they should have.
Oh no!
And that is, it's time for that kid to get disciplined. You know, what do you do digging inside my bag? You know, I'll give you something for that.
No, but there was a lot of problems that happened. Like, we're little kids, we're playing mobile games, and you know, it would charge the whole thing. So if you have a Google account, it automatically charges. My thing is, like, can you just block that feature? Because that would solve just a lot of problems right there.
I think what Gary mentioned about, you know, not having your card information stored, and this also applies to the mobile phones. You have to be aware that if you give your kid your phone to play a game, first and foremost, you know, that better be like a extra spare phone that you're giving to them. I would not give them my actual phone, and knowing I have all my important information on there, because, you know, anything can happen. You know, they can, you know, let's say you got a call from your job, they see the number, like, oh, then they answer the phone. I mean, there's anything that could happen, so you have to be mindful of that stuff. But people who have kids, now, obviously, I can't really say any of this because I don't have a kid. I'm just using common sense to say, if I had a kid, you best believe that I will not be giving them anything that is important that I have on me that I need, especially a phone. Oh, hell no. But yeah, people have to think about this stuff ahead of time. You know, with PlayStation, I had an issue before when I had PlayStation Plus, and you know how it does the auto renew thing. I had to make sure that was off, because, you know, I don't want them charging me for PlayStation Plus over and over again, especially when I can get it a lot cheaper than it is on the actual system. So people just have to be mindful, do their research, and watch out for this stuff. That's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, there is a way for you to not have your card linked to any of this stuff. But outside of that, I don't know what else somebody would do to stop that from happening. But Any other thoughts on this topic before we move on to the next one?
It's too little, too late.
No, my basic summary is parenting, solves everything.
Oh, listen, it definitely solves everything. And that's actually connected to the next topic also. Well, part of it is. But so our main topic for today, the main discussion we need to have, obviously, we found out last week that our president, a president that a lot of people like and a lot of people dislike. I'm not really sure what the people that like this president, hey, I don't know what that's all about. But Donald Trump is going to be meeting with games industry people to discuss violent video games this upcoming week. Now, I find this story funny because literally a day after this story was reported, Jason Schreier over at Kotaku reported and said that the ESA was not aware of this meeting and that they were just surprised about it because they haven't been contacted. So now we're in a situation where it's not really clear who Trump is meeting with. Maybe it could be a fake news ploy of him making this statement here. But obviously he's going to meet with somebody this week that's in the industry. Some have speculated maybe it will be Activision, maybe it'll be EA. I mean, who knows? It could be anybody. But the question that we wanted to pose is, what do you think will come from this meeting? Gary, since you asked this question, how about you be the first to answer it? What do you think will come from this meeting that's supposed to happen between Trump and these video game executives?
Oh yeah. So with all due respect to you and your country, your president, he kind of has verbal diarrhea sometimes, and I get the impression that sometimes he just says things and thinks about it and plans the stuff later, like after. It also seems like he doesn't have a team that kind of filters what he says. But yeah, the fact that the ESA came out right after he made that statement and said they haven't been contacted or whatever, that's very fishy, because for those that don't know, the ESA is actually, like a governing body in, video games entertainment that consists of all the major publishers. So Activision, EA, a lot of the biggest gaming companies are involved in the ESA, organization. So that is the go-to source if you really want to have that dialogue with the gaming industry, period. You would go to the ESA first. So unless Trump is somehow looking to undercut the ESA, which I'm not sure how he would do that. Like, maybe they will reach out to each publisher individually or something, but it would make more sense to just go to the ESA because they have that in place already. They have that structure in place already. So I don't know what he meant by that statement, but he did say he wants to meet with representatives of the video games industry to see what can be done about violence in video games and protecting children and young ones from it. Now, of course, as gamers and as gaming enthusiasts, this is always scary for us to hear because we love our video games and we know that video games aren't the root cause of these things. I mean, somebody could be influenced by a video game, in theory, but I don't think it's the core reason why, these things occur. Like, I think it's usually a mixture of different things, going on psychologically with the person, and I don't think video games is exactly the catalyst for that. So yeah, it's always scary to hear that, especially coming directly from the president, that this is a discussion that's going to happen, because then you start to think about the possibilities of what could happen. And, you start to think, okay, are they going to censor video games? Are violent video games going to be banned? We always hear about Australia and how strict their laws are with video games and entertainment. I definitely don't want, America and England to follow suit, because, it seems like Australia doesn't get a lot of fun stuff that we get. Even like GTA and stuff, it's either banned or it's heavily edited and censored over in Australia. So I'm hoping it doesn't get to that extreme for us, because that's gonna, it's gonna seriously hinder the artistic nature of video games that we've come to love. So I really hope that this is just all talk. And I get the impression that sometimes Trump just wants to seem like he's doing something, to kind of avoid the real discussion that has to take place. Like we said last week, there's a different discussion that needs to be had about this, the violence that's happening in the schools and everything. There's a completely different conversation that needs to be had there, but instead he wants to focus on this. And I think it's just kind of a distraction of, from the real discussion that needs to take place. So yeah, I'm hoping that this doesn't really go anywhere, or there's no major changes or restrictions or regulations that are going to be put in place, because video games are great right now. They're like, I consider them deeper in content than movies, because there's so much more that can be done with a video game in terms of the stories that can be told and everything. And it, of course, because it's interactive, you have a stronger and deeper connection to them and stuff. So video games are art, basically. And I don't want it to have to change because it's being blamed for something that it hasn't really been the main factor in. So I guess we just have to keep an eye on what's being discussed, but this could just be him pulling the wool over our eyes, especially if the ESA says they have yet to be contacted. That just kind of seems a bit strange.
I agree. Excellent thoughts throughout. I do have something to say, but Dana, I'm going to give you the floor first, because I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about this.
Guys, no one enjoys video games more than me. I'm the best player ever. You will never find a gamer more gamer than me. Then, oh my gosh, this is funny. This is all to just avoid the actual topic of gun control. So you have this guy who has an AR-15 already in the home. He gets he takes it and he goes and he shoots 17 people with it. And then all of a sudden it's the violent video games. No connection whatsoever to like what games he was playing. Because remember, during Columbine, they at least was like, oh, they were playing Doom and we should ban Doom and, somehow change the gaming industry and they can't make any more violent video games. This is just, random topic of let's just throw video games back in there again. Okay. To me, this is all to avoid two things, which is gun control and the fact that they won't call this guy a terrorist. And we all know why they won't call him a terrorist, which is what he actually is. But this is something that I believe is going to end like any other conversation. Well, Trump will say, we got to go against, we have to do something about these video games. Video games are bad. Then I love video games more than anyone. Video games are the good guys. Don't worry, guys. And then randomly, let's leave it up to the states. And then it'll be forgotten, say next week. So I'm not paying any attention to this because we all know that he's not serious about this. He's not really serious about anything that comes before him, aside from, immigration laws and a wall. So I think we're good in that regard. And this is also, remember when the ESA says they don't even have a meeting for this. And this is the same guy who went and told a random journalist to set up a meeting with the Black Caucus just randomly. And that wasn't even her job. So no one seems to know what they're doing right now. And everyone should be more concerned about Mueller and what he's doing and maybe gun control, since it's the guns that's running around causing these huge issues and not the video games. I never played, Assassin's Creed and decided I want to go around and start robbing and breaking into people's places and scaling buildings. I think I'm good. And there's plenty of science behind this. So even if he does decide to do something, there will be lawsuits up the hoo-ha. So I think we're all good. There's more problems that we need to worry about.
Yep, I agree pretty much with everything that you and Gary had to say. Definitely more pressing matters to be concerned about. I don't think this conversation is going to end any differently. It won't be anything major that happens. If there is anything major that happens, you can best believe that there will be some backlash because, again, as Gary already said, video games is a form of art. And I also feel that this whole thing about trying to censor stuff, I mean, maybe this is something that I probably shouldn't say because somebody will be offended, but nowadays it feels like the world is a very sensitive place. You can't really say anything without getting criticized. And then there's a lot of people out there that want to be victims and say certain stuff to draw attention to themselves in light of what's going on with certain topics that they feel strongly about. It feels like ever since Trump went into office, a lot of this came to light. A lot of people having a lot of responses that they just feel as though everything needs to be censored. You know, we already mentioned earlier about YouTube, about the fact that now the advertisers don't feel safe with YouTube in regards to certain videos that are put out there. So they decide to change all the features so that everyone else suffers as a result of that. It's just like, so now when you talk about trying to censor video game violence, I think that's all BS. And again, as you both have already said, trying to divert attention away from the fact that we have an issue with guns here in this world. And the bigger issue in that we have an issue with mental health as a whole. A lot of people, they haven't been feeling too well about how the world is operating today. And they also have issues within their own personal lives, but they never talk to anybody about these issues because they are afraid to open up. They are afraid to get the help that they need to get. And then they, in turn, decide to take their aggression and anger out on others. So until all of this other stuff gets addressed, these issues will continue. You know, a lot of people want to worry about, we need to build a wall. We need to worry about everyone else trying to come in. Let's worry about taking care of everybody that is here and addressing all of the issues we have here, because that's what needs to happen. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, you know, as someone who is a fan of video games, I mean, I don't think anything will change in regards to video games. A lot of games have already been in development. You're not going to hear something about, well, Red Dead Redemption 2, we had a violent shootout scene, so now Rockstar is going to take it out of the game. Oh, hell no. That game is coming out in October. So it's a done deal. So they need to stop using video games as an excuse to cover up the fact that they have to address bigger issues here. There's a difference between real life and a video game. And until the president starts to live in the real life of what's going on in reality, then this stuff is just going to, this is just going to continue. They're going to continue pointing the finger at other things to blame. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I don't think anything will come from the meeting also. I just think a lot of the, you know, but I am curious to know who exactly is at this meeting, and I'll be very curious to hear what they take away from this meeting. Because I don't know what companies agreed to this, but obviously ESA is not involved, so who knows? It's
just going to be Trump in a room by himself, talking to himself.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what'll happen.
But at that NRA, they'll be there.
Yeah,
an empty chair.
Absolutely, and I will give a shout out to Ruthless Kids also in the chat once again, and also the height of all of this. You know, the mental health stuff, yep, but parents as well. You know, parents have a job. When you decide to bring a kid into this world, it is your responsibility to teach that kid, and you know how to survive in this world. If you're out here not being a good parent, that's definitely going to have impact on your kid. You know, and it may be something where that relationship is going to have issues down the road. But if you have a kid, you have them around a lot of these things, such as a violent TV show or what have you, it is your responsibility to make sure that they understand right from wrong and that they're not always around some of this type of stuff. Because let's be clear about one thing. There is violence in a lot of things out there, but I've never heard of an instance where somebody is going to play a game about shooting up somebody, and now you're going to, well, let me go get a gun and let me go shoot somebody. No, there has to be a lot more going on in that person's life besides a video game to make someone go over the edge, because in a game, you can die. and you can play again, you know, but in the game of life, when you get shot, that's it. It's over. You know, so they have to understand that there are consequences to these actions. And it's the parents' job to make this clear to them about the stuff. So if the parents are not doing their job, well, then the kid is going to have a lot of issues in life. So I'm just saying, people have to be held accountable for their actions. They have to go out here, and you have to stop covering up these lies about what you think is causing an issue. You know what's causing the issue. You got to own up to that and deal with it. So until the president decides to deal with this stuff, the real matters at hand, then it's going to be a lot of the same things happening. But we'll see. We'll see.
So just be attentive also, because, you know, during the Columbine thing, the kids were making bombs in their basements while the parents was just, you know, walking around dumbfounded, not knowing anything. Literally in the same home, just downstairs in the basement, they're making bombs. So check in on your children, talk to them, be attentive.
Exactly. And as I said earlier on this show, I mean, I'm not a parent. Maybe one day I will become a parent, but I will say this. I understand that anyone who is a parent now, they have a lot that they have a very important job to do with educating their kids. Because today in this world, I mean, there's a lot of things going on with bullying, so on and so forth. And you have to make an effort to get into your kid's life to really, I'm not saying, you know, you want to monitor every single thing they do, but you need to have a conversation with them on a regular basis, see who their friends are, try to understand, and then explain to them if they're doing something wrong, why this is something they shouldn't be doing. There will be some that will revolt against their parents. This happens. But if you actually care about your kid, you have a good relationship with them, and you're willing to communicate, I don't see how there will be any issues, because they know they don't want to do anything to hurt you also. So, I mean, it all starts in the home. It starts with the communication, just like with any relationship. You have to be willing to communicate for a relationship to work out. If there's no communication, then it's going to have a lot of issues. So, but I mean, that is just what I was saying. I didn't want to have to say too many things, but I just feel like right now, until this stuff gets addressed here, that needs to be addressed, and people start looking at the reality of everything going on around them and stop making excuses to put this blame on other things, then it's going to continue to be a lot of the same issues. And, you know, we have a long ways to go in terms of this country. So we'll see what happens. But as I said, I'll be very curious to hear who exactly it is that spoke to Trump. And if Gary was right and he said Trump is in a room talking to himself, and they'll come out with a report later and say, oh, well, he wasn't talking to anybody, I will laugh at that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But any other thoughts on this particular topic before we get ready to wrap up today's show?
No, that's pretty much it from me. A lot of interesting discussion in the chat as well. So I want to give props to everyone who joined in on that discussion, because it's definitely something that affects us all.
Yeah, I know a lot of people maybe didn't want us to address this topic, but you know, we did address the violent video game thing last week, so it was only appropriate that we followed it up once we heard more about what was going on with this type of stuff. You know, we don't always tend to talk about politics, so on and so forth. But I think when you have to look at how everything impacts the world around us, you definitely have to talk about it at some point. You know, you can't just be oblivious to this stuff, because that's just not going to really do anything. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers all the topics for this week. So we thank you all for listening. We do have a couple of things to say. First and foremost, I did want to say, you know, for those who are unaware, you know, we are doing a giveaway in our Patreon right now. We're going to be giving away Ni no Kuni 2. So for those that are Patreon supporters right now, you're already entered in to win. If you want to enter into the giveaway, all you have to do is sign up on the Patreon. You can give $1. You don't have to give more than that. That's up to you. And you'll automatically be entered in to win. We are going to have other giveaways, maybe as the month goes on. I'm not really quite sure yet. You know, we might be doing a Far Cry giveaway at some point, trying to work out the details, but stay tuned for that. And also, we are going to mention another giveaway, you know, who won the actual giveaway that we also had for the Thor DVD set, which Gary will get into in a little while. But yeah, first and foremost, before we do any of that, I want to give a shout out to, once again, everybody that was in the chat today. Appreciate all of the comments. Very good discussions. Mr. Edward, you know, Eddie V and Ruthless Kid, y'all definitely got to be on the show at some point. So we need to work that out. And you as well, Reggie, because I saw you had a lot to say in that chat. So we got to get you on the show. But shout out to everybody that was watching live, everybody listening on the download as well. Thank you for the continued support. Dana, do you have any shout outs that you want to give?
Shout outs to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone who's listening and who likes to partake in the conversation. So thank you guys so much for that.
Absolutely. Okay, Gary. How about you, first and foremost, let everybody know who were the winners of the Thor giveaway set, and then you can give the shout outs to the Patreon supporters.
Yep. So if you were checking the site this week, you would have seen that we had a Thor Ragnarok, you know, Blu-ray, DVD, digital release set to give away. We had 5 of those to give away, actually. And we actually partnered with Marvel to deliver that. So big shout outs to them for working with us on that. So there were 5 winners, and I'm going to announce the winners now. That's Roger Fuentes, Miguel Perez. Shouts to Miguel, he's in the chat right now. Howard, Finn Jake, and Greg Heffley. So those are the winners for the Thor Ragnarok giveaway. So congrats to all of you, and thanks for your support. So as usual, I'm also going to shout out our Patreon supporters because we appreciate them all. So M. Collins, Sean Gority, Stephen Ferron, Mauricio Aguilar, Himdil, Fergus Mills, Nicholas Alvarez, and Miguel. Big shouts to all of you. You're all entered into the Nino Kuni 2 giveaway, so be on the lookout for that. We'll be, you know, announcing the winner sometime next week. And also big shouts to everyone who joined us in the chat today. You know, big shouts to Edward V and Ruthless Kid, aka Kieran Blackman. Those are, you know, they're former Koalition employees, pretty much. Like, they used to be on the team, they used to be on the show all the time. Hopefully we can get them back, you know, to do some shows sometime soon. Also shouts to Ricardo Negron, who's part of the WrestleCast, which is probably my favorite show right now. It's probably my favorite podcast at the moment. So if you're a wrestling fan, you should definitely check out that show. And shouts to everyone else who joined us today. You know, I saw Reggie in there. Reggie, we got to have you back on the show. And a few people earlier, you know, I can't really remember. My memory's a bit weak at the moment. But yeah, shouts to everyone who joined us in the chat today. We appreciate you guys keeping the discussion flowing and everything. And that's pretty much it from me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Ricky as well. Thank you for checking out the show. Also give a shout out to Adam Vale. And of course, Dana. WrestleCast will be back this Friday with the Fastlane prediction show, you know, and you definitely want to check that out because it's going to be a fun time. But that's right.
Strong style.
Yes. But thank you all for listening. We hope you have a great week, and we will talk to you all next weekend.